It's very important that we have an omni-channel strategy. But at the same time, people should be cautious about going too broad too fast. You want to maximize the channels that you're on before moving.
Welcome to the High Voltage Business Builders Podcast, a show where we interview high voltage entrepreneurs growing and scaling through e-commerce, real estate, and other wealth without Wall Street ventures, showing you the path to making your first or next million. All right, folks, welcome back to the High Voltage Business Builders Podcast. I'm your host, Neil Twa, and I have a special guest here, a good friend, someone who I've gotten to know more and more over the last couple of years as we spend time around each other. And I'm super excited to talk to the things that she knows today in the market. She's an Amazon seller. She's been around, I think, longer than me. In a history of selling. And so she's as battle-worn veteran as we are, grandfathered into all the old things. And of course, with that knowledge comes insights into the new things and things that are changing and how to adapt and maneuver those. And there's definitely a lot of changes at Amazon. So we're going to talk about that today with her and then talk about what she's got going on in the world of Amazon and upcoming trips and events and other goodies that we're going to discuss on the call today. And hopefully you will get some good insight and maybe a golden nugget out of this today from her that I think she definitely will bring for the value. Amy, thanks for joining me today on the call.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. All right. So let's dig into changes. What do you see as changes, opportunities, challenges for Amazon sellers or even people considering getting new? What are you seeing in terms of changes with Amazon they should know about right now?
Well, I think the biggest change across the board is definitely the integration of artificial intelligence, AI, right? We've all seen the growth of AI. You joined me on our AI business summit that we had. We're about to have another one, but there is so many changes happening across search engines.
Yeah.
And Amazon is a huge search engine. I mean, it converts at 6 times higher the rate than any other e-commerce website. And it's because they really nailed down their algorithm. They know exactly what they're doing to show customers the exact relevant search results for customers to make buying decisions. But if you're a seller, you log into Amazon lately, every time you log in, something is changing.
Yep.
Something is new. And AI is definitely at the forefront of all of that. And it's because the search engine is going to change. The way people search for things and the way they find things is going to change. And what we should be thinking about, what I think that we should pay attention to that may drive this is larger search engines. So when I first started selling private label on Amazon, I started selling regular, just flipping products in 2007. But in 2017, when I started my private label, I have a background in cybersecurity and tinkering and figuring things out, right? So I was looking at the A9 algorithm from Amazon, and there's not a lot of documentation out there. There's not a lot of published stuff that tells you this is exactly how A9 works, right? But Google has tons of published stuff on their algorithm to tell you exactly how to rank on Google. And so what I started doing back then is I started reverse engineering Google's algorithm and testing that on Amazon and seeing, okay, Google says that if we stuff too many keywords, they will de-rank our blog post or our page. Does Amazon do the same thing, right? In order to be relevant on Google, you have to keep keyword phrases intact and put the most important ones towards your title and the top of your page and the least important further down. And the length is also important. Is that same thing happening on Amazon? Sure enough, yes, it was. And so when I first started copywriting on Amazon, I paid a lot of money for my molds to get my product made. And so I was on Fiverr copywriting for people. And I was able to take products that we're not selling and find new categories for them on Amazon and just rewrite the listing with new keywords that were less competitive, but that product fit very well. And I was able to help people sell out of saturated products using this technique and really able to get Amazon's choice badges very quickly because Amazon's choice is based on who's the most relevant for that keyword, not who is the best seller for that keyword.
That's right.
Who's the most relevant, right? So now, as fast forward to AI, I know I'm long-winded about it, but I promise I'm getting somewhere here, right?
Oh, it's fun. Keep going.
Fast forward to what's going on with AI, and we're all paying attention to Google. And I don't know if you've seen what Google Labs is doing now. Anyone could go to labs.google.com and they can enable labs in their Google browser.
Yep.
And you'll see that you'll get AI responses in your Google searches. And those AI responses have summaries of different web pages. They have recommendations from videos, right? So I can ask Google search engine now, what dress should I wear to a summer party? And not only will it show me various shopping results of dresses, but it will also show me videos and what's cool about this is it shows specific snippets from the video, exactly where that particular dress is recommended. And then I can say, okay, well, what about shoes? So what's happening is video is now being integrated into search results. And of course, we always had that with YouTube, but they're also showing little snippets of TikTok videos, things like that in search results. So all of search is changing. And if you don't think Amazon's going to be far behind integrating video into search, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's going to happen. We've seen it over and over again. Right?
Yep.
So that's what we have to pay attention to, is look at what's going on with AI overall. And when we look at the bigger search engines as our example, we can kind of follow that up and go, okay, what does this mean for my brand in the long run? So moving forward, we really have to think about, what is Amazon doing? They just made a deal with Meta where you're going to be able to buy it on Amazon right inside of Meta and Instagram. That's huge. And I think that might have been in response to what TikTok Shop is doing.
Yeah.
So TikTok just launched their TikTok Shop platform, and people are calling it a money machine. Because just like Amazon, the very beginning, when we first put products out there and they would just sell, and it's not like that anymore because it's a lot more competitive. And TikTok, I'm sure, will do similar things as more and more people get on the platform. But people are using TikTok like a search engine now. We're seeing products that we've added to TikTok Shop that don't have any video content getting sales.
Yeah. It's powerful. I know that they are moving now into obviously the fees, which just came out, I believe, yesterday. So now they're obviously
they just raised their fees to 8%.
8%.
So they used to be 2% plus 30 cents a unit.
Yep.
And they've just announced they're raising to 8% with a transition period of 6% over the next year.
Right.
Well,
we all knew it was coming at some point. They weren't their goal was to buy market share. And of course, they've got to make that more profitable. That no one's should be surprised by that in terms of it. But I love being able to geek out with you on this because not everybody understands, with your background in cybersecurity, what we know about the way the engine works. And we've talked about this before with my background at IBM and the latent semantic search engines and knowledge management engines. I had the same epiphany in 2012 about the way the engine was working. As you mentioned, there was no documentation. They weren't really telling us anything. In fact, any of the documentation that they did have publicly that we were able to consume around 2016 or 17 was taken off the internet. You couldn't access it anymore. When they were talking about each group of people and each set of engineers that works in certain areas of categories and nodes within Amazon, and how many different algorithms are working around each of those nodes. And it was like, wow, man, you could geek out on that stuff. But yeah, the changes have grown, the data sets have grown, the learning curve for the engines have grown. You see the virility of things like TikTok and stuff, both positive and negative for products in life and culture. There's a positive and negative impact to that one. But yeah, selling on the shop, it has its opportunities and challenges too. Right now, I tried to put a brand on and they didn't like my products, and that was really a challenge. So I had trouble getting TikTok to accept my brand and accept my products. I think with some additional product types and stuff, it'll be a lot easier to go through that. What do you see happening in the next year with all that? Do you see yourself doubling down in those kinds of shops and stuff? Do you see yourself doubling down on Amazon?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. I think that the days are gone. And even in 2024 and 2023, we were talking about omni-channel. Like it used to be all Amazon. And now when you go to a conference, it's a lot more like Amazon, Walmart, other opportunities, that kind of thing, because none of us want to throw all of our eggs in one basket. That's just bad business anyway. You never want to, it's like if you're trying to grow an audience, you don't want to rely completely on Facebook or completely on social media and not get those email addresses, because then Facebook would shut you down one day and you lose everything, right? So it's very important that we have an omni-channel strategy. But at the same time, I think people should be cautious about going too broad too fast.
Exactly.
You want to maximize the channel that you're on, the channels that you're on before moving. I've seen a lot of people just expand willy-nilly to a whole bunch of different channels, and they're just like, I just want to sell more. It's like, okay, well, you have overhead in every single market you expand to. So be very careful about that because it might not be worth it for you. So your question to me was, what are you doing? I've just expanded to TikTok Shop. I'm growing more of my web presence. I've always focused on web presence overall. And I think this really depends on the consumer and what they want for your product. So for me, I sell a litter box cleaner. Mm-hmm. And when you study the market of people who buy litter boxes, which is my category, right? They're not buying litter boxes from eBay. They're going to major retail stores. That's where they want to buy a litter box from and cat litter from. Yeah. It's less of like little websites. You have to be careful about spending too much money on growing a website if your customer really wants to just see your brand presence on a website, but they want to buy from a place like Amazon, for example. So it's important to understand consumer behavior around your product before deciding to expand and before deciding to dump too much money into growing your own website. I have had a lot of people book calls with me and be like, I want to talk about growing off of Amazon because I wrote a book about growing off of Amazon and growing your marketing organically off of Amazon. Mm-hmm. And so I have a lot of people book calls with me for that. And their products that they're selling, they're a lot of times these kind of commodity type products that anybody can make, anybody can do. And it's like, I want to grow my Shopify. Okay, but why would someone want to buy that product from your Shopify? And same thing with TikTok Shop, for example. Yeah. If you're going to jump on the TikTok Shop wagon and you're like, oh man, I see all these people crushing it on TikTok Shop. Well, look at TikTok and see what kind of products are making it. What kind of products are doing well? You want a product that's demonstratable, that people can talk about, that people can create content on. Because let me tell you, I'm not selling anything myself on TikTok. I have like no following. I've posted a couple of videos on there, but my shop is not moving on my own. It's the power of the affiliate, the creator network on TikTok that's moving my products. That's making me sales. I'm sending samples to creators. They're making videos. And luckily, my product is one of those products that people want to talk about. People want to give their opinion on. Some of the creators are not liking it because a lot of people are like, oh, that's horrible. That's not a good product. So it's either people love it or they hate it.
Right. It's good. Right? Well, conflict marketing that helps. I mean, it drives clicks and comments, which drives engagement and creates more virility in the algo, right?
Exactly. There's a lot of, so that's given me the opportunity to go into some of those creators' videos, comments, and answer those with video on TikTok. But it's very important to focus. You always have to know your customer. You have to know your customer and you have to know the platform before you spend a whole bunch of money on it. And then also the platform, why do I say that? We were talking yesterday about this, but why do I say know the platform is because if you don't understand your market and the platform that you're on and what is your market share, you don't know if you have the potential to grow. I have people all the time that come to me and go, I want to make, the other day I had a client come to me and say, I want to do 50 sales a day of this product. And I said, well, what are you basing that on? Right now I think they're at 5 or 6 sales a day, right? I was like, what are you basing that on? And they said, well, there's this other brand that they're doing like 500 sales a day. It's like, okay, well, do you know where their traffic is coming from? Have you studied them off of Amazon? Do you know anything about them? And then I actually looked at their product, and their product is different. It's more general, and the product that they're selling, there's no search volume for. It's a very niche product, and there's not enough demand. So I told them, I said, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on this. Like Mr. Wonderful says on Shark Tank, you got to take this thing out to the barn and shoot it. And move on because there's not enough market.
That's right. And it comes down to product selection and choices and where you get those products from. And of course, making sure they're profitable, which is something you and I were talking about earlier, and determining where they go. Where do you source better, innovative products that are higher profitable that don't run into those problems?
Yeah. And that, I guess, brings us to our next subject is I have spent 2023 all over the world sourcing products. So I've been in Mexico. I actually own the only multi-category trade show in Latin America. So I own the Canton Fair of Latin America. I started that a couple of years ago. And that was based on the demand of people wanting to get out of China.
Mm-hmm.
And Mexico having a lot of capability, but there is not a lot of knowledge or access to those manufacturers. There's a lot of very high quality manufacturers in Mexico, but they don't have websites. There's no multi-category trade shows.
Yeah.
It's very hard to access them. So I started that project. And so Mexico, great option, but there's a lot of work to do before we get to where we can just call up a manufacturer in Mexico and they can make something for us for e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
They're not quite there yet. They have the capability and quality of China and other countries, but in terms of the training, helping them get there, they've mostly been producing for locally, or it's big brands that have set up factories in Mexico and are then moving those products into the US. So those, just like sourcing in the US, which one of my products is made in the US. So I know the challenges of sourcing in the US. Most of the factories in the US are set up by brands themselves.
Yep.
So getting them to make something for you, contract manufacturing, is not as easy. The other country that I went to this year to source from is Jordan. So Jordan is a tiny country in the Middle East in the middle of a bunch of other countries. So the good thing about Jordan is that they are really advanced in terms of manufacturing and technology. And the other great thing about Jordan is there's a free trade agreement, so there's no tariffs. And the other great thing about Jordan is because they're in the middle of all these other countries, they're already great exporters. Unlike maybe a factory you find in Mexico that maybe has never exported to the US or anywhere. They're just clueless about that. In Jordan, all these manufacturers that I talk to, they're like, yeah, I already export to 64 countries. What do you need?
Nice.
It's right there for them. And then the next country, I went to Turkey, sourcing as well this year, and learned that they do a lot of fabrics and textiles. That was really interesting. And that's a growing economy. It's a great place to invest. Some refer to it as the new global south in terms of the growth in the world, the global economy. So that whole region there in the Middle East is a great place to really start paying attention to. But we can talk about that on a different podcast or a different time when we talk about finances and investments. Yep. But then we have China, of course, which is so interesting. I also went to India this year. India was really cool. There's a lot of innovation in India. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of really great things. I would highly recommend everybody goes to India and goes to a trade show there. What I didn't find in India was a lot of manufacturers that were ready to export those innovative products, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're just sourcing something normal like bags or the normal things that you can find in India, like I found floor mats, I found bags, I found home decor, like those kinds of things. If that manufacturer is already making that, it's really easy to export, and India is a great place for that. But what I did find was that prices were a little bit higher, and that for those innovative products, most of those innovative products were being made by brand new brands. We're just getting started. We're not ready yet to make it for somebody else or export. But the ideas I got from going were just incredible. Yeah. So that was really cool. And then I guess we should talk about China.
Everybody loves and hates China. Like,
I know. So a lot is changing in China. The workforce has almost completely changed. Yeah. This was my first time back to the Canton Fair since the pandemic. And the suppliers themselves, a lot of them are moving out of China because of what's going on with the tariffs, everything else, with the global economy. A lot of those manufacturers are moving. So they're moving to places like Vietnam, India, Mexico. And so you're going to find Chinese manufacturers around the world. Yeah. Because China is now moving out of China because they are like, okay, if you're going to impose these restrictions on me, well, I'm a manufacturer. This is what I do. So I'm just going to go open up factories in other places in the globe, right? Yeah. And so you're going to see that. You're also going to see this is a great time to make deals in China because they're really trying to hold on to business because they are seeing a lot of people move to other countries. So yeah, there's still a lot of innovation in China, still a lot to do, but we've seen on Amazon specifically the growth of sellers. Now we have more Chinese sellers than we have other types of sellers on Amazon US. And we have the growth of huge Chinese marketplaces to the US, like TikTok, like Temu, like Shein. And those types of products that are being sold on those platforms are types of products that everyone should pay attention to, because Americans like shopping those platforms for those types of products, myself included. But does that mean Americans should be selling those types of products? Right. So we need to pay attention to the way that we source products, the way that we choose products, the way that we innovate on products. It needs to change. And when we're innovating, we need to protect our innovations, because if somebody else who already manufactures that product and also has e-commerce experience and can just sell against you, can very easily make that same differentiation and copy you, and you have no protection, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah, absolutely. So much great information. And a lot of things that people don't know about you were written into a chapter in our book that's coming out, that I'm excited to announce as we go forward. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, I was so excited to be part of your book. This book really, at first, I was telling Wheelie, you guys, before he hit the recording button here, I was telling, this book with all these authors, I've seen people do that before. And when I read the manuscript, I was expecting this to be kind of a crappy book. Is this one of those marketing ploys?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you guys, I have to tell you, it's really not. It's a really well put together book. One of my favorite conferences that I go to by Tony Robbins is called Business Mastery. And this is just an overall business conference where you go and you focus on A, from Tony's side, your mindset and stuff like that. But also B, he exposes you to all these different experts. Like we met the founder of Chick-fil-A, which look at their customer service. They have a higher average order value than any other restaurant.
Yep.
And they're closed on Sundays.
Right.
It's just they've basically given McDonald's a run for their money. And it's all around the way that they built their customer service and the way they built their experience. So there's a lot to learn. And here we got to meet the founder of that company. So what was so exciting for me to go to something like Business Mastery from Tony Robbins versus some of the other things that he does, like Date with Destiny, which is really good, but it's mostly Tony stuff, right? Is that I got to be exposed to all these different experts in a way that's really well put together and themed for each day. And that's what I felt like when I was reading the manuscript of this book. Of course, I am included, but I was way more excited about all of the other experts that I got to read from. And some of them I know, and some of them I don't know, and was excited to learn from. But even the ones that I know, I learned things in this book that I didn't know that they knew, because it's so well put together around this theme of building a business. And I'm so excited to be part of it. And I know you guys are going to get so much value out of checking this book out. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. And I really am honored that you participated in it and shared the knowledge and wisdom you did. And for that, anybody who's going to grab a copy off of the link below, there's a couple of goodies Amy's going to give away. For those of you who are grabbing it, we're doing it right now at a kind of a pre-launch, really deep discount at the time this comes out. So you're going to want to grab a copy of that before the price goes up on Amazon, and tell them what they're going to get if they buy through this link here with you.
Yeah. So you guys, I'm doing my next trip to China is coming up in April, and I don't care where you source from. If you come on any of my sourcing trips to Mexico, to China, wherever, it is going to change your business forever, because you're going to learn how to talk with manufacturers. You're going to learn how things are made. You're going to learn what's available. It is one of the most incredible experiences you can have in your business. And my trip is already super affordable, but I'm giving away $1,500 off my trip in April as part of this giveaway for the book. And the other thing I'm giving away is a free strategy session with me. So that's kind of exciting. Would love to sit down with you and talk to you about your business and how you can improve it. And yeah, so those are my things. And then something that's available to everyone all the time from me is a free listing review. So you guys can always head over to my website, amazingathome.com. And underneath the services menu, you can click free listing review, and I'll take a look at your listing. If your PPC isn't working, if something's off, right, I'm happy to take a look, and I'll send you a video, confidential video of me going through your listing and giving you some tips. No strings attached is something I love to do. So that's a gift for everyone. And of course, get it along with this book because it's really incredible.
Thank you so much for that. And the book is called Almost Automated Income with FBA. Go check out Amy's chapter. Check out the bonus and goodies below. Hopefully you gained something from today. I certainly did, just listening to the different trips that you went on. And of course, a reminder of the knowledge you have of the system itself and the history and experience you have is always of great, tremendous value to me to just sit there and listen to you speak. And I'm so honored that you came on today and shared this good stuff with us.
Thank you for having me, Neil.
Ask you this. If you're serious about building an e-commerce business starting on Amazon FBA, what if myself and my team worked with you one-on-one to execute the steps outlined in the podcast while helping you discover what the heck to sell, how to make sure it's profitable, and how to successfully launch a brand, plus how to do it under a consulting plus performance-driven model where I put a $10,000 skin in the game guarantee for those that show up and are serious about building a real business done with us? If yes, text keyword profit to +1 417 413 4209. That's 1 417 413 4209. And I will personally respond with a few simple questions. If you're not in the US or Canada, please visit voltagedm.com. That's voltagedm.com. Click Get Started and book a no-pressure discovery call with me or a member of my team to learn more about the Business Builders one-on-one coaching and mentoring for CEOs, entrepreneurs, and those looking to build an empire or retire using the power of e-commerce. Once again, thank you for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for a brand new episode of the High Voltage Business Builders podcast.